Hello. This week on Create with Dawn, I'm going to share some of the tips that I've learned in Nicholas Wilton's masterclass. And the first section that he taught us was on design. So I'm going to share some of the tips that I've learned about design and create a collage in my art journal. And I hope you create along with me. 3 things illustrated include arrangement, shapes, and sizes. So as you can see here, I've chosen different sizes and patterns and arrangements of the collage pieces that I'm adding to this particular journal page. And then I decide to just glue them in place. And as I started gluing, I realized the piece on the right seemed a little bit too much similar to the one on top. So I cut that into 3 different pieces. And I think, as you can see, it adds a lot more interest because they are different sizes. And then I glued those down. Here I'm talking about arrange the pieces around the page and make your eye travel all around the page. Remember, we read from right to left, and you want your eye to flow around the page. And as you can see, I think this makes somewhat of a circular pattern. And just remember, you want big differences when you're arranging shapes. So you can see that the shape on the top is quite large, and then I have a vertical shape on the right hand side, and then I have some circular and different shapes on the bottom. Here I'm just outlining the shapes to give them a little bit more definition, and again adding to the interest that you have in the shapes of this one. And this is a China marker. It's by Sharpie, and it's really cool because it'll smudge. If you paint over top of it, you can scratch and see some of the marker through. So I really, really like this China marker, and they're very inexpensive. Here I'm just outlining the vase shapes just because I think they're really interesting and different than the other 2 shapes that I have. And you notice the different sizes, largest on top, and then a medium kind of rectangle on the side, and then these smaller oval shapes. And I'm just making some little marks up here in the corner. If you followed me, you know I love my dots. And these are just some organic circular shapes. More thinner lines toward the bottom. I'm just having fun. And again, notice even with these organic circular shapes, I'm making them different sizes to add interest. Some more marks down here. So you can see that I have different arrangement, different shapes, and different sizes with this design, which already it's getting more and more interesting. Now I'm going to add some color, and I love turquoise. It is a complementary color to the orange, so I feel that that works really well with this particular composition. I'm just filling in these little circular organic shapes that I have here in the center. And I'm not really quite sure where I'm going with this. I'm just kind of putting some paint down. Covering up what I don't really necessarily want to be really prominent in this painting. I love that blue. It's just so soothing. And then you can always, with acrylic paint, lightly remove some of it before it dries, and you can see I have the subtle shapes underneath coming through. And same with the bottom. Very subtle. Now here I've decided that I want the value to have some more contrast. So decided to add a little bit more darkness to the bottom of the page here. Remember, we're taking our eye and traveling around the page. You know, and I'm looking at this and thinking, maybe that's a little too much. I'm not sure. And here I'm just kind of, you know, playing around with the color and taking a moment to pause and looking at the different values and shapes and just deciding what needs a little bit more work. And I really need some value, darker value, to pull your eye around the page a little bit more. So adding some in here. And I'm thinking it's really almost too dark, too monotone. So I'm going to add a little bit of lightness. I just don't want it so dark everywhere, you know, just pops of value so that you can really identify those different shapes. And here when you put light against dark, it just really makes that dark value stand out. Did you notice what a huge difference that made? Just adding a little bit of light there. And now I want to highlight these windows with just a little bit of dark paint. And really, these are just collage pieces I cut out of various magazines. You know, looking at them separately, you would never think that they would go together in a particular piece of art, but they just seem to be working. So here I'm kind of mimicking the plant shapes up in the corner just to give this piece a little bit more uniform feeling. Very abstract, but you can see that they remind you somewhat of the plant. And I'm just gonna highlight some of those organic shapes. And take a moment to pause and look at the work and really give some more depth to those shapes there. Maybe a couple littler ones down in the corner. And I'm feeling like maybe it's a little bit monotone at this point. So I'm going to add some little hints of that orange throughout the piece just to give some interest. And you don't have to have too much. I mean, the main focal is those two ovals, but let's bring it into some of the other organic shapes. And can you see how that just a little bit of that orange really brings this alive? Not too much there, just a little hint. That's all I want, is a hint of orange there. And I feel like this is starting to come together, but I don't have the correct flow yet. So keep working a little bit with that orange. And as I look at this, I feel like this top shape needs to be a little bit more prominent. So I'm going to outline that with a little bit of the light, very light turquoise white. And can you see what a huge difference that made already? It makes those little areas of dark value really stand out. So let's outline this and really make it more prominent. Now remember, with this China marker, I can kind of scratch through the paint and make the under layers come forward. We're going to add another dark organic round shape here. And can you see how that, just that one little shape makes this feel better? You know, just a little bit more balanced. And although I like this one in the center, it's almost too prominent. We need to lighten up this area just to I like that better. Now after this dries, I am going to lightly scratch through some of this paint so that you can see some of those marks underneath with the China marker. And here's a little close-up of some of it. Now after this paint dried, I did scratch through so you could see some of those China marker marks under it. If you like this, please like and subscribe and show me what you got in the comments.